All right, so we're actually going to start with Tony here. Being that you led such a diverse group of soldiers, in your career, and I think that applies to business as well, that businesses are so diverse. How did you maintain great communication with them from multiple backgrounds?
Wow, yeah, because they definitely did come from multiple backgrounds. I think I maintained a good relationship with them because I was honest with them. I tried to be myself with them. I tried to be genuine. If a person thinks that you're genuine with them and you seem like you care about them, they'll go to the end of the earth for you, and that's what you need. So I think just relating to them on their level, and kind of trying to be like more of a dad to them and a big brother.
Perfect. All right. I think we'll go with Peter. So being that you've worked in multiple businesses and being an entrepreneur of yourself, have you ever faced any adversity where you had a fear of making a decision, and how did you get over that?
Sure. I mean, there's adversity at every corner when you're an entrepreneur. A lot of you probably understand and know that. And you just have to be creative, figure out a way of getting around the bump in the road, and stay positive and keep moving forward.
Carlos, you're next. All right. So being that you are able to market with a lot of different backgrounds and you're so diverse, ranging from restaurants, credit card repair agencies, and now even politicians, how are you able to stay on top of the market and really just kind of understand all of the niches that you work with?
So to answer that question, I would say that what I've learned is I've been able to kind of find the root of like marketing, and I'm not the best marketer in the world by any means. I'm not the most experienced even. As I'm pretty sure Peter has a lot more experience in marketing than I do. But I've been able to just pretty much understand what people want, how they would want to see something, and there are principles that just go from one to the other. Like for example, people don't want to watch a boring video, so you want to make it, you want to have cuts. You want the images to be changing to keep their interest. Things like that. Just pretty much learning the marketing principles. And there was a book that I read actually that helped me a lot, which was Made to Stick, and they actually have a mnemonic that it's called Success. And it's kind of like the marketing principles, like stories are better than are very, very effective. You want to conceptualize things, so you want to make ideas easy to understand. That's why you have sayings like you can only take the horse to the water. So things like that it's just one sentence that means a lot. So check that book out. And
Okay. We actually had this question come in from random individuals, but this one's for Tony. Not all of us are from a military background, so one thing that we were all kind of wanting to know is, how does somebody become a colonel, and what is the pathway to get there?
I think the pathway to get there is competence, discipline, and a hell of a lot of patience. Because if you lose your temper, people don't like that in the military. You can't lose your cookies. You have to remain calm on every situation, and this political environment is trying my patience. But I think, seriously, poise, discipline, patience, and competence.
So I have a question for you, Tony. How do you remain calm in such a, like you have a sergeant, or I don't know how that works in the military, but you have someone who's shouting in front of you like we see in the movies. Like how do you keep your composure? How are you able to remain calm?
I had to teach myself. I wasn't always that way. When I came into the military, what's your name?
Dreamer?
Just like Dreamer said, I thought I knew everything. And I had just gone through Ranger course. I had a big Ranger tab on my shoulder and couldn't tell me nothing.
Good dog tags.
Oh, you got a dog tag?
Huh?
You got a dog tag? The dog tag?
What, the ID tags?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about it?
Do you got one of those?
Yeah.
Of course
That's a
I
thing?
have.
That's not a movie thing? That's an official thing?
What's in your boot though?
You have two tags. One
Is it-
tag goes right on your toe when you don't come out.
Is it true? It's for
Oh,
that, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Exactly what it's for.
Okay.
What was the question?
How do you remain calm?
A lot of learning.
You learn it. You learn it. You learn how to do that. You learn how to be cool. You learn how to control yourself. That's why when you're a lieutenant, they give you room to make mistakes because you make a lot of them. And those that don't, they just don't last. I would just say you learn it. If you have patience and you really care about people, you'll pick it up. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so Peter, I think we can agree that, in business, there are a lot of different things that you should try to acquire as a person. What would you say is the number one attribute that a person should learn to be successful in business, whether you're managing, whether you're an entrepreneur, or you're a high-level official?
I think that the biggest key is listening. A lot of people like to talk, but when you listen, you hear things, you understand better, and it helps you to make better decisions. I would always, I'd be the owner, be the manager. I would always want to listen to what people were saying, so I got their perspective of it, and it would help me to make better decisions.
I think it's important on that. I like your response to that because it's just to add to it, you listen to understand, not to respond,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Communication.
That's a good way to put it. I like it.
All right, so do we have any questions for the panel? Anyone?
It doesn't matter who answers. I guess my question would be, what was your biggest risk and how did you handle it? Whether negative or positive outcome.
Wanna go, Peter?
There are a lot of major risks in doing a lot of different things that I've done. I think some of the biggest risks were getting involved with a film project that's $100 million and praying to God that you get it right. I mean, that's a big chunk of change to be playing with.
So how did you determine if the reward was worth the risk? The risk was
Well, again, when you're a risk taker, you're willing to walk that line. And when you're dealing with big name people, it makes it a little more comfortable. You feel like, well, worst case scenario, we should at least break even.
I would say for me was, so I'm definitely not at $100 million projects. But for me, it was quitting my job when everything in my agency was not to the point where I was supposed to quit it. And I did struggle, and I just continued to believe in myself even when I didn't see the money coming in. So I was working on a lot of projects that I knew were gonna pay off eventually, are still paying off. I'm still in the process, and I just had to. It's either like, do I go work more hours in my job and make a stable salary, pay my rent and all this, or do I go and chase my dream? And so far, I would say that was one of my biggest risks, because I could have lost the place that I have that I worked hard to get, car payment, all that stuff. So that was mine. You have something to say on that topic? Biggest risk?
I mean, in the military, there are no risks because you're told to do something, you do it. So there's no risk.
The risk was doing it.
It's already exactly. It's already been calculated for you.
Yeah.
I think my risk is what I'm doing right now. This is the biggest risk of my life. I'm not a rich man, and I put thousands of dollars into this. because I believe that our country's going in the wrong direction. And my biggest risk is risking my family's savings on something that I believe in. I believe in my country. And I would have to say that this is my biggest risk. But I'm willing to take it to save my country.
On this topic, I would ask both of you guys, how did you get to decide I'm going to run? Especially like Tony, like you're saying, you know, it's a big risk for you. Peter, I imagine it's not an easy task either. How did you guys get to the point where you said, you know what, it doesn't matter, I have to go for it?
Well, for me, it was a matter of, you know, being a businessman, being an entrepreneur, you get involved with your community. And I've been involved in the community for over 30 years. And I've worked with a lot of different entities, from Coalition to the Home for the Homeless and Second Harvest Food Bank and all these different things, and many, many different churches and ministries and things trying to help people. In building some of the businesses that I have built, I've literally, no exaggeration, taken people off the street and given them work, a place to live, transportation. Some of these people didn't even have a driver's license, helped them to get identification so they could drive back and forth to work. And having done all that on the outside, I've evolved to the point where the next logical step was to see what I could do on the inside. And so that's why I made the decision to do this.
Tony?
Could you repeat the question?
How did you get to the point where you decided I have to do this and risk it?
Well, I think I told everybody earlier that I got to that decision when I saw where our country was going. I've been in these places. I've lived in these places. I've done things, and I've seen the results of just sitting back and watching things. I could have been just as comfortable sitting in my house and just watching this stuff happen, and I couldn't do it anymore. And I told my friend who's standing outside in that hallway right now that, hey, can you put me in touch with somebody? I want to run. Well, what do you want to run for? I don't know. I have no idea, but I want to run. But you don't know anything about it. Well, we'll figure it out. And that's how I got started. And, you know, I'll tell you something. My faith on that thing has gotten a hell of a lot stronger since I started this. My spiritual portion of that. I have been able to surround myself with people that take care of me. Yeah. So that's it.
So just to catch people up who got here after 6 o'clock because of traffic,
Yeah.
are you guys running against each other?
No,
We're running for
Who am I voting
two
for?
different offices. Tony's running for Orange County Mayor. I'm running for Congress in District 10, and our districts basically overlap. Part of District 10 is in Orange County.
Great question.
Yeah, I'm so confused.
But we have people we are running against that we are actually friends with,
And what happens in the field of politics is people tend to gravitate towards people that they like, and I like Peter. Peter is a font of knowledge for me, and I like to surround myself with really decent, very good people, and that's one good person right there. So they work together on their campaigns to try to reach their objective.
So knowing nothing going into this, what has helped you the most? Is it other people's knowledge helping you? You reading up by yourself on things, or what has got you caught up on how to strategy, how to do this?
I think making mistakes, and I don't want to make them again. I make mistakes, and I learn from those mistakes. Of course, I pick things up from people like Peter, and I've got a team here that I think the world of. So,
if you break it down, our government has been designed of the people, by the people, for the people. It's meant for people to run the government, not lifetime politicians to run the government. So Jimmy Carter was a peanut farmer. He was president of the United States. You have different people that come from different backgrounds, and whether you like this one or that one or wherever you stand is irrelevant. It's the point that people govern the people, and that's what's so great about this experiment we call the United States of America.
That's so
It's
right.
really great.
You got professional politicians up there now, and they have become so used to power that they don't want to let it go, and it is hurting our country.
Yeah. So people like us are in favor of term limits. Get in, do the job, and get out and let somebody else have their shot, kind of thing.
I have one, let's see how we're doing on time. I have one more question for you guys. Okay, we have a little bit of time left. My question is, how do you guys continue to learn? Like, you know, how do you go about your day? How do you learn new things? Is it reading, watching news?
All of it.
Any specific ways?
Discussions. Yeah, we're always doing all of that.
I'm a student of history, and I spend a lot of time listening to audiobooks on history. I love history. Everything that's happening right now was repeated sometime in the past.
Again and again.
Everything. And it's happening again. Everything.
Specifically, in 1937, we could have stopped Hitler before he invaded Poland.
Exactly.
A year ago, we could have stopped Putin before he started mounting his invasion of Ukraine. It could have been prevented, but it wasn't.
So I have a question, if we have a few more minutes.
Yeah. So the main event starts at 7. Everyone here, just a quick thing. Check in with me before, so I make sure to give you guys the drink tickets if you got some. So it starts at 7. We have about 20 minutes. 20 minutes left, but we can finish a little bit early, start heading to the bar, or if people have more questions, you know, we'll keep taking them, okay? So, go ahead.
So, and obviously, you know, age gap, right? I'm in my 30s, and I have a very demanding career, you know, 60, 70 hours a week. I'm a mother to 3 children, married, but he's works very demanding as well. What would be your piece of advice on time delegation and how to, if you were to look back, right, at your younger self and look at trying to raise a family, trying to have a career, be successful, and ultimately climb the ladder, because that's the goal for me. It's not to stay complacent with where I'm at. What would be your piece of advice on walking that boundary and trying to make room for everything?
When you're going through life, at your stage, well, at every stage, but at your stage of life, it's chaos. Everything's hitting you from all these different directions, and it's just sheer insanity, and you don't know how you're gonna get through each and every day. And then you get to be my age, and you look back, and it's this finely crafted novel that worked out absolutely perfectly the way it was supposed to, but you don't see it where you're at. But it's happening right now. So just keep on keeping on.
Just put your floaties on and keep it.
I don't know if you guys have seen the speech that Steve Jobs has, the very famous one on YouTube. He has a quote that I never gonna forget, and it goes with what Peter said, is you cannot connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. And I definitely cannot answer your question. You know, I hope one day I will, but I would say that, you know, in my short lifespan, looking back, a lot of things make sense today that it didn't back then. So just to piggyback on what you said.
You don't realize how long your life really is. We say it's a short life, and it is, but the reality is you have a lot of time in front of you to do a lot of things. Take it one day at a time and do your best to not lose your sanity.
Tell my kids that.
Right?
I wanted to ask you, you know, because I feel like 3 of you have a lot in common, but yet still you come from such different backgrounds. How do you, each one of you approach time management? Do you manage things day to day? Do you take a weekly planner? Do you take a monthly? How far into the future do you plan your schedule? And how well do you attach to it?
Well, in our line, you have to stay way ahead of things. We're talking about doing events together, and I'm looking at doing these big rally type events where it takes literally months to prepare for them. You have entertainment, you have security, you have logistics of staging, lighting, sound, all of the technology, and it's just a huge event. There are people who work 6 months just to do this one event, and they might do 2 a year, and that's it. And we're doing this on a regular basis, planning for having these type of events every week, but they're planned months in advance. So it's time management is very tricky, and fortunately for me, I'm a short sleeper. If I wasn't, I'd never make it.
And Tony, you have Josh.
Yeah, what I do is I delegate.
You have someone that manages
I'm
this.
military,
I'm a
right?
colonel.
He just turns around and he's like,
Josh, what am I doing? What's my
am I
schedule?"
free tomorrow morning?
Yeah, well, it literally takes an army, to do what we're doing.
I would say for me, I'm a big supporter of to-do lists. So I use a program called Google Task, and pretty much they have something very practical that I just picked up recently, and is I have the Google Calendar, so I'm looking at what I have throughout the week or the day, and then on the right-hand side, you can actually pop up the Google Task, and then I have all the things that I have to do there. So that is I have a list for everything. If not, I would go insane. I get so much anxiety if I'm like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. But I've made such a good habit out of writing everything down into a to-do list, where it's like, if it's not in there, it's not important. Any other question, guys?
I have a question. Thank you guys so much. There's just like a lot of wealth of experience here. So I'm a humanities professor. I teach at Valencia. I started working with Wealth Accelerators, so I help other folks generate passive income. So I'm kind of embarking on what I call a renaissance, like a career renaissance, and figuring out what I want truly. And you mentioned you really have a passion for film. So if you could expand on, you had all these businesses, and there's some intuition that's required to start those businesses and know when the right timing is. But when did you decide to do what you really wanted? Like, what motivated you and turn that into, your business? Because that's sort of what advice that I'm kind of looking for now in my life.
Well, loving movies as much as I did, I decided to research how to write a screenplay, and I did. And I wrote a screenplay, and this is back 30 years ago-ish. And then I realized, well, if I sell this screenplay, whoever buys the rights to it, they can change it to whatever they want. So I better make it myself. I think I better go get a degree in film technology. And so I went and signed up with Valencia first and took Ralph's program, rest his soul, nice guy. And it was an incredible education. And people don't know this, but the Valencia film program is the ranked number 3 film school in the entire country, behind USC and NYU, because they actually make movies during the course of their program. And you learn everything about making a movie, not just theory, but you physically do it. It's really awesome. So that, I was a kid, and you're going to laugh at this stuff because you weren't there, but I was 5 years old, and we had 3 channels on the TV, okay? I lived in Connecticut. The TV would turn off at night, literally. 11:30, they played the national anthem, and it just went off. There was nothing on. And then at 6:30 in the morning, they did the same thing, played the national anthem, and they would start programming. On Saturday mornings, again, I was a short sleeper my whole life, so 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm awake. Everybody else in the house is sleeping. And we lived in Connecticut, which was right next to a city called New York. And New York had these, what they called UHF channels. So if you sat on your TV and you played with the little dial, you could get these old Humphrey Bogart and James Cagney movies. And I'm sitting there 5 inches away from the TV Saturday mornings while everybody else is in bed watching these movies, because I just loved movies. I knew that was my passion. So after making money in a couple of different businesses and industries and writing that first screenplay, I said, I never went to college, now's a good time. And so I went and got a degree in film education, film technology, and started working in the movie business, which was a lot of fun.
Any other questions?
Have how do you structure your mornings? You mentioned 5 a.m. and anyone can answer this. Like, you know, you kind of hear about the 5 a.m. miracle morning and waking up before everyone and getting things done. How do you just jumpstart your day in terms of just, you know, productivity or spirituality, whatever it is?
Well, I was in the Army, and they had a commercial years ago. We do more before 9 o'clock than most people do all day. And that's what I do. I get up, grab a quick shower, I do a little devotional in the morning, and I start my list, checking things off. And can't wait till it gets 8 o'clock so I can start calling people. But I'll do whatever I can do between 6 and 8 to you know, keep busy. But there's a lot of stuff to do.
I'm completely different. When I roll out, I immediately go to ground and start doing my exercises. I don't even wash up. I just put on some workout gear, and I get after it. And I spend the next couple of minutes doing calisthenics, then I stop in and I meditate through stretching. I do a lot of meditation stretching. It's not yoga. It's just
Meditation is stretching.
It's just, I'm stretching and I'm thinking. That's what I'm doing.
Or if you're meditating, you're not
No, I'm not
thinking.
but it's not yoga. And then I do my lifting, and then I eat, and then I do my business. I go to work. But I do that every morning. So. You know, when you're in the military, it gives you that discipline. Your body will tell you, what are you doing? It's 8 o'clock. Get up.
Yep.
Your body will just tell you that. It's because you did it so much that you can't stay in the bed.
Nope. I also play the drums for an hour every day.
Oh, your neighbors just love you.
They hate me.
Are you good?
Yeah, actually.
Sure.
35 years, I've been good by now.
35 years, an hour every day. How many hours do you think that is? A couple tens of thousands?
Probably. Yeah.
Hey, that's insane.
But if you have a passion for something like that, it's,
No,
it's
that's
not
awesome.
work.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
Like,
great.
What's that? There's an old phrase that like you're not a master until you've done something for 10,000 hours or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But that's great. That's my workout. Good
Alright
workout.
guys, I think we're going to wrap it up so that I can go finish setting up. You guys are welcome to stay for the main event obviously. And everyone just, like I said, check in with me to make sure that you guys get the right tickets and all that. And DJ should be here soon and we'll get the party going.
Okay. Outstanding.
Alrighty, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you so much.